All right, you guys, this one, I'm so excited for this interview. You guys know I posted this to my stories and I even talked about this. Like when I saw this, her video, she went, she's older like me, and she went and she found her birth mom. And when she hugged her birth mom, I completely came unglued. And I talked about that because, dude, the emotion is real and I could feel everything being a fellow adoptee. And I just loved it. And she's the cutest thing ever. I'm so excited to have her on here. Her name is DeLancey, and I found her and I was so stoked. I reached out to her and she said yes. And seriously, you guys are going to fall in love with her because I just think she's adorable. So if I ever get to Mississippi, I will come say hi to you.
Anyway, that would be wonderful. We definitely welcome you any day of the week.
Yes. All right. So I will go ahead and I will turn the time over. This is DeLancey. Like I said, we met over social media and I'm super excited to hear from her. So go ahead.
Okay. Like she said, I'm DeLancey and I currently reside in Mississippi. I am an adoptee. I was adopted at 3 days old in Jacksonville, Florida. The cool thing about that, though, is that another family was actually supposed to get me. Sorry, I kind of tripped over my words there for a second. Another family was supposed to adopt me. And 2 weeks before I was born, they were not supposed to be able to have kids. They found out they were pregnant. And so they backed out of the adoption. But thankfully, the attorney that was handling my adoption and had been working with the biological mom knew my family, knew my grandfather. My grandfather was a judge. And my dad was working at the university at the time, and my mom, and they had 3 daughters, and 15, 13, and 10 years old. So they got a phone call that said, basically in a nutshell, they all say it differently, but what it boils down to is, hey, you want another little girl? And they just jumped on it and said, sure, why not? And they, when it was the day to pick me up on the 13th, they drove over, they got me, and they brought me back. And what's really cool is 2 of the girls are their biological children, and myself and my third sister are both adopted, both completely different scenarios, completely different things. I don't want to speak too much on my sister's adoption just because that is her journey. That's her story. That's her thing. But what I can compare it to is she had not so much an open adoption because they didn't speak to each other all the time, and they didn't basically communicate. My mom would send the birth mom letters. They knew each other prior to my sister being born. My scenario was all they knew were the names, which were on my adoption papers that I didn't even know until about a few years back whenever I started looking. And that was pretty much it. That was all we knew. We didn't really know anything else. Anything else that we knew or we understood what turned out to be completely false. But I'll touch on that in a second. And essentially, I always knew I was adopted. That's what I love about how my parents did everything, is they always explained it to me that I was adopted. And it wasn't like it was it's a secret or here's a gold star. It was, you're adopted. This is why, you may not look exactly like your sisters, but you are all sisters. And my favorite thing, though, my mom always told me was that I was the pick of the litter. And I took that and ran with it. I would always say I was the favorite. I would always say I was the pick of the litter. And that's just what I always said when I was little. My sisters even told me that later as an adult. But I never felt that sense of, I don't know who I am. I never felt the sense of not feeling a part of my family. I am very family oriented. I'm very close to my mom and dad. I'm very close with my sisters. Blood couldn't have made us closer in my eyes. The way I was raised, the values I was taught, and everything. It wasn't adoption. It made me different. It never made me different. And I never understood when people would ask me, well, don't you want to meet your real mom and dad? Well, I mean, they raised me. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. And people are like, no, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, I don't know what you mean. And when I was a teenager, it would annoy me. But as I got older, I realized it was an opportunity to educate versus be a little sassy pants about it. And then my mom and dad, they would ask me throughout the years, do you want to look? Because my sister had met her biological mom when she was 18. I had no desire to do that. I had zero desire. I put my foot down, and it would come up, not very often, but it would come up occasionally, where they would ask me over and over and over again, for maybe a couple of days, and then it would get dropped and it would never get touched again. And then a couple years later, it would get brought back up again. And then I just always said no. I always put my foot down. And I don't know what it was about the conversations a few years back that made me change my mind. My mom and dad brought up a couple good points of, everyone's getting up there in age. We don't know what's going to happen. We would like to at least, meet her. We think this is important for you. The worst that could happen is you just don't talk anymore. And then that's it. And I thought about it and I talked to my sisters about it. And my oldest niece gave me some advice. And she's like, we've had you. We think you're pretty great. What's the worst that could happen? Just give it a shot. And so when I finally accepted that, yes, I'm going to go look for her, then the overwhelming factor of everything that was going to be entailed in looking for her. It was brought up that I was possibly going to have to subpoena the courts to get my records unsealed, that I was going to have to write an adoption center. And it was, I don't even remember everything that was. I just remember those two things. And I just shut down and was like, I'm not doing that. That's too much. It's ridiculous. I don't feel like in this day and age, it should be this difficult. It should not be this hard to find someone that wants to be found. It shouldn't be that hard. So I called my mom and I said, listen, I'm not doing all this. This is too much. Like, this is too much. I'm not doing this. And she just kind of chuckled because she just knows how I am. She knows that I'm just like, no, I'm not doing it. And when I'm deciding I'm not doing something, I'm not doing it. And then it went back to the whole entire, Lancey, I really feel like you should do this. I know in my heart, this will be good for you. And so I sat there and I said, fine, I'll strike a deal. I was like, if you can get me my adoption papers, because I never had my adoption papers. They always kept them. I just never wanted them. I didn't need them. I never needed any of that. And I just said, fine, if you can get me her name in his name, I will put them into the search bar on Facebook. And if they are meant to be found, they will be on Facebook and I will find them and I will know it's them and I'll send them a message. And she was like, you can't be serious. And I said, I'm 100% serious. I am 100% serious. That is what we're going to do. That is how we're going to do this. And she just goes, fine, whatever. And she sent me their names. And I typed his in, nothing came up. And I typed hers in and about 5 people popped up. And I knew it was her. The first one I knew immediately when I saw her. And I actually was on the phone with her last night. And I was like telling her about it. And she still laughs at the story. But I looked at it and I went, excuse my language, well, shit. Got to be true to my word. I have to, so I opened it up. I took a screenshot and sent it to my family. And I said, I found her. And they all started Facebook stalking her, because we have a group text, my mom and dad and my sisters and myself, and they all start Facebook stalking her and looking at her and they're like, oh my, and they're all just texting in the group chat. That's definitely her. Oh my gosh, you look just like her. This is incredible. Have you seen, she has kids. Oh my gosh, you have younger siblings. And then I started getting overwhelmed again. And I was like, whoa, this is a lot. Like, this is so much. Like, I'm going from being the youngest of 4 to now I have more siblings. I don't know. And being in my 30s at the time, I feel almost in a certain way, I should have been maybe more ready, possibly. But at the same time, you don't really know what you're ready for until you're in the moment. And I thought I was ready and I needed a day or two to process everything and to digest it. And I remember talking about it to some coworkers at the time. And they were just like, DeLancey, we're all invested. Like, we are all invested in this. We're all here with you. And I'm like, I appreciate that, but I'm still the one dealing with this. Like, I appreciated all the support that I had from family, friends, and coworkers, but it was so much. It took me a couple days. And when I finally digested everything, I was like, my mom asked me, she's like, are you gonna call her? Or are you gonna? I was like, well, I don't have a number. And she was like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'll just send her a Facebook message. That way we can confirm or deny if it's her. And in true DeLancey form, I sent her a Facebook message that was like, hey, did something to the effect of, it was very similar to this. Did you have a relationship with a man named, and I put my biological dad's name in there, that resulted in the birth of a baby girl in 1984? Question mark. If so, comma, then I think I'm your biological daughter, period. Just get back to me when you can. Thanks. I mean, because I just feel like you had to be straight. I just felt like I had to be straightforward in that moment. Like I just had to be straightforward. And I knew it was going to hit her like a ton of bricks, just like it hit me like a ton of bricks that I actually found her. But there's no reason to dilly-dally around. To me, my time is very important and I don't want to waste it. And then it just went from there. She sent me a message back that was basically, oh my God, I can't believe you reached out to me. I did not know if you ever would. Yes, it's me. And then we went from there. And it's been a building process for several years. I actually found out, I didn't know I needed the information because at the time I didn't, but to know that they got married a year after I was born was the most incredible thing, that they were genuinely and truly in love. They genuinely loved each other. Now they were kids, so they had their ups and downs. I tell everyone does. No one knows what they're doing at 19 and 20. Nobody knows what they're doing. And if you do, you are just not normal at all. Like, let's just be honest. But over the past several years, I've learned so much. I've learned how much, like, they made the decision together for me to be adopted, for me to be placed for adoption. They made the decision together they actually hid her pregnancy until it was, in her words, too late to do anything different. They made that decision together to do that. They made the decision together for her to come back to the States. And even though he is no longer here, he actually, a year after they got married, he passed away. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I smile to keep from crying because it's still very touchy for me. But I have her, and I do have I'm so sorry, I do have my younger siblings that I love so much. And even though I don't have him, I have every letter and every card he ever wrote to her. And I have everything that he gave her, everything that he did for her. She kept all of it for me. So when I was able to read in his handwriting how he supported the adoption, there's no greater feeling than to know with 100% certainty that not only does your family love you, but both parties involved had your back and loved you and chose a better destination for you. And then after a few years of processing all of this and everything, I've gotten closer with my younger siblings as well. Like I said, I'm very family oriented. I am so sorry. This is so not attractive right now. But I've gotten closer with them. My younger sister just got married in October and I was at her wedding. We actually just got back from a road trip together at the end of last month. And I get to FaceTime with my bio mom pretty often. I get to chat with my brother whenever I get a chance. He's kind of the strong silent type, so we don't get to talk very often, but when we do, and when we get to see each other, it's like when he hugs me, I always imagine what a brother's hug would feel like, and that's what it is. It's just, I always joke with people, I need a flow chart for my family, and the only part of my family that I show distinction is between my mom and dad and my bio mom. And that's just because they are two different things for me. My mom and dad raised me and taught me everything and basically helped me to develop and to grow as a person. And then my bio mom helped to fill in the cracks that I didn't even know were there, which I could survive even if they were still there. But the fact that she helped fill them in definitely helped out a lot. And from the moment that she first hugged me, like you talked about in the video, and I had mentioned to you, I didn't know how that was going to go. I was so just nervous, and I had so much anxiety. And I mean, I didn't know what to expect. And then from the moment that she hugged me, and there's actually a video on my TikTok where it doesn't have the sound, you can hear her say, "This is the first time I ever held her." Because when I was born, they took me away before, because, back then you weren't allowed to hold the baby, which, how healing for her to have that. I mean, I don't want to speak for her because you know, but to me, how healing for her to have that moment, to be able to do that. And then for us to grow and develop. Like, she and my mom talk occasionally, they joke back and forth. Their favorite thing to do right now is to say, "Would you come get your daughter?" to each other on Facebook. That's like one of their favorite things. Or they'll say, "This is your fault. Like, it's your fault she's like this." And I tell them all the time, it's really both of y'all that did this. So, but it's been, sorry, I mean, I kind of talked all over the place, but it's been such a wild ride and such a crazy journey, that because of all that, and after digesting it for several years, I realized that all adoption stories are different, and all adoptees are different. And who am I to keep my story to myself? If I can help anybody, even just one person with my story, or to be able to understand that it's okay to feel nervous, it's okay to feel anxious, it's okay to be overwhelmed, it's okay to do all that, I need to share my story. And that's the reason why I started sharing my story. And I just honestly appreciate you even reaching out to ask me to share it. And I really hope people were able to connect those dots, because that was a lot. So I apologize.
Do not apologize. It was beautiful. And do not apologize about crying, because I'm like the biggest boob. I was on the other hand here bawling along with you, because yeah. And I just love you. Like, if I could just come and give you a freaking hug, like, I totally would. I'm not even kidding you, because I just think you're amazing. And I love it. And I love, like, I kind of feel like there's this push for negative with adoption right now and adoptees. And so I absolutely love it that you have this happiness with it, but you're like me, where we honor that there are hard stories out there. Like,
Absolutely.
you can't discredit that. But for us, there's no reason we should hold back sharing our story and our happiness to make other people feel not bad. Because that's where I'm at. It's like, no, oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry to cut you off. It's funny, because I've had a lot of people comment that and say, not all stories are this great, and not all stories are this. Well, and it's interesting, because I've actually had the other side of the spectrum as well, with my biological dad's family. And I broke contact with them recently, because it was not a positive story. I tried to do the right thing, and it took me a few years to get there again, but I tried to do the right thing and respect his honor and reach out, because that's the right thing to do. But they did not respect my boundaries. They did not respect that. Do not speak negatively about my biological mom. That's not okay. We don't rewrite history. Like, if you want to spend the time, like, I put together a baby book to send to them so they could see what I looked like as a kid, just like I did for her. And the only answer I got back was, I mean, it would have been better if we had been there. Like,
I swear, some people,
okay,
like, they just,
you're welcome for the book. I appreciate that. I mean, and even to the point that it was, the whole entire boundary thing, like, you're strangers. I had a grandmother and grandfather. I'm going to call you by your name until I'm comfortable calling you something else. And they kept trying to force me to call them. They kept correcting me. No, you will call me grandma. No, you will call him grandpa. You don't say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am to us. We're family. And I'm like, I say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am to my family too. I was raised in the South. We hear the accent. I say what I say. We're not gonna change that. And then it got to the point where the brother asked me why I talked like a hillbilly. And I just went, are you serious right now? Like, that's not okay. we can't do this. And I just couldn't do it anymore. So I just stopped reaching out, and I finally told them the other day, like, we can't, I don't want to. And that's the reason I always find it so funny when people are like, you don't understand, you had a blessed and a charmed meeting. And I'm like, no, I understand. I've had both sides, because it's that, but focusing on the negative, that closes out the positive. And who are we to darken the skies just because, one person had a bad day? That's not, or one person had a bad meeting. It sucks. And I feel bad. And I will listen and talk to anybody that's had that experience, but there's happiness out there too. We can't take away from that. I am so sorry. I totally took off on that one.
Stop saying sorry, because no, it's amazing.
That's a thing too. I can't help it.
Like, this stuff needs to be said and it needs to be heard. And I love that you can relate to that, because people see your video and they see a teeny blip
Just a
of your
little
life.
blip.
Yes, they don't see the other thing. Because like my reunion with my bio mom, it's kind of the same thing. When I met her, it's been happy, it's been good, we've gotten to know each other. There's siblings involved. I know nothing about my biological fathers. People think it's all rainbows and sunshine, and it's like, you don't see like and you're fine to swear, dude, I swear all the time. You don't see the shit that goes on in messages with like my bio sister, like where she is so angry, and so, you know what I mean? Like, people don't see that, because I love what you said, look for the happiness, don't dwell on the negative. And it goes with anything in life, not just being adopted. Like, if you want to dwell on the negative, then your life's going to be, I'm sorry, but like sad and shitty. It just is. And
absolutely
you look to be happy. That doesn't mean that stuff's not going to be hard. It does. That's not what that not doesn't mean. It's just like,
absolutely
try to go through. And it's taken me a while to learn that. Hell, I'm 34 and I'm just barely starting to like get the ball rolling on, like loving myself and doing stuff to like be positive, because nobody wants to be around anybody that's negative all the time. And I'm super proud of you for setting boundaries, because that is really hard for some people to do. So like, that's amazing that you did that. Like, seriously.
Oh, it took me until my mid 30s to be able to set boundaries and stick by them, because and it wasn't like I didn't have boundaries when I was younger. It was, for whatever reason, it was an all or nothing. Like, it was an all or nothing type deal. Like, it was either I was loyal to you and I was a yes man, and whatever you needed, I had your back, or you don't exist. And now it's like, I understand that's not healthy. That's not right. We don't have time for that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, like you said. And the other thing to point out too is when people see other happy people, and then if they do find out that they have other things going on, I love how society, the first thing they want to say is, oh, you're being fake. No, it's not so much being fake. It's choosing what you devote your time and emotion to. And sometimes I lose that battle. Sometimes I choose the wrong direction, and I try to do that in private as much as possible, because I don't want to affect other people. And then sometimes it doesn't work out that way. We're all human beings, but just because you choose to be happy and to show happiness and you have other things going on, it doesn't mean you're being fake. It means you're choosing to spread the joy into the world, for that to be infectious instead of the negative, because there's too much of that.
Dude, I love you. Let's start what do you call it? Not a world. A tour around the US and go speak to people. You know how cool that would be?
I think we should. I think you should do that. I think we should like collect some adoptees and just go on a tour and just talk to people. Because there's so much negativity around adoption, a lot of times, that people don't understand that it is possible to have a positive experience. And that if something negative does happen, it's not because you're adopted, it's because you're a kid and your parents aren't perfect. Like, and granted, not everything works out that way. I don't want to diminish anyone that's gone through a terrible time, but I even had a mom ask me, did you ever get angry at your parents and say, you're not my real parents? And I was like, oh no. Like, that was my first reaction, was like, oh, I could never. But then I asked her for more information, and it turned out that she was fostering a child that was, I want to say 6 or 7. And I was like, okay, they're different scenarios. You can't just ask me a question and not give me the context. Because at 3 days old versus 6 or 7 years old coming in and being fostered, I mean, that's a lot for a kid. So it's not every story is the same, and not all of us are the same. We just always have to be mindful to ask for more information, I
No,
guess, is where I was going with
no,
that.
no. And I love that. It's no 100% true, because yeah, it's exactly, society's just crazy where they see one thing, so then
Oh,
they ask straight
100%.
away. And it's like, you got to get the whole backstory. Like, you can't just
Exactly.
assume things and like all those kinds of
Exactly. You
things.
can't
So
see a little bit and assume everything, like the whole scenario. That's just not how it works.
no, no. And no, I love it. And I love it. And I'm seriously so happy that I found you. And I think you're like the cutest thing ever. Like,
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
not
you.
even kidding you. Like, my husband travels, I'll be like, you want to go there next? And then we can go say hi. He'd be like,
We can
you
go visit. Y'all come
I,
hang out.
I know, I would love that. He's so funny. He thinks I'm crazy because I'm totally like woo with people. I love people. And so I'm like, I have a friend here and here, here, and I just met her and here and here. He's like, oh,
Yeah,
but
it's good to have friends everywhere. That way you can travel, you can hang out with everybody.
so true.
I get it. I get it.
So okay, so with your, I wanted to comment on this because I thought it was absolutely beautiful with your bio father. Like, I
Mhm.
think that's so amazing that he left all that for you. And it makes me so sad for him and for you that his family was just so angry about it. Like, because I don't know, I'm the type of person that no matter what happens, you want to be happy for your children. And like,
Mhm.
he found love, and they did what they thought was best. And so you have to support that, even if you may not agree with it.
Mhm.
But it just made my heart so happy when you were saying that, like, they were in love, like, and that, I mean, it's and it just, like, that's why I started bawling, because I mean, that's a piece of the puzzle that you're not ever going to be able to fill, which is hard. But like, to have that little blip of like, okay, I have this from him, and I
Mhm.
know he loved her unconditionally, and so he loved you unconditionally, because
Mhm.
that's kind of hard sometimes when people find their bio parents. Like, it's not that way. And there's fellow adoptees I've talked to that's like, we don't want anything to do with you, sorry, we like did this for a reason, stay out. And that's where a lot of anger and hate come in. And so it's just, I
Sorry
don't
about
know.
that. I had a phone
No,
call for some crazy reason.
totally fine. So I love that you shared that, because I mean, it's hard with me. I still don't know who my bio dad is. My bio mom won't kind of release that information yet, which
Right.
I respect her.
Which,
I've got
right.
to do it. I've got it. I will eventually get there, because as she's learning who I am, she knows
Mhm.
I will get there. But
Right.
um, what advice do you have for, I mean, you've given so much already, so much, but any other things that you can think of?
I am almost positive. I mean, I know you and I talked about it before. And I don't believe I said it exactly in this way. Um, but because all of our stories are so different and we're all different people, that we have to do everything on our time. We have to do it when we feel it's right, when we feel comfortable with it. Um, I think that's the reason why I'm always so adamant sharing the side of me being hesitant, me being anxious, me being nervous, me feeling the way that I feel, because it's the truth. It's complete honesty, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat that part. But because it was, no matter how much my family kept asking me to do it, when I would say no, they would respect that it needed to happen on my time. And then when I met my bio mom and she explained to me how my bio dad, she even said, everything's on your timetable. Everything's in your time frame. Everything is when you're ready. The way she explained it is, we've all known all this information. You're getting all of it. And if it's overwhelming, and if you feel overwhelmed, it is completely okay and acceptable to take a step back and process. You're not expected to understand and accept and appreciate or not feel a certain way whenever you find out information. Your feelings are allowed to happen how they need to happen. And it's all okay. I guess, just don't let anyone make you feel like you're wrong for feeling how you feel and wanting to take your time.
Oh, and
That's the biggest advice I can give.
I love that. And I love that with sharing stories too, like adoptees, like,
Mhm.
exactly. Don't let anybody take your power, because it's your power and it's what you know what's best for you. And I love that. And like, I just love you even more. Like, I seriously do, just so much more. Like, I just thought you were so adorable on your video, and then in talking to you, but like actually getting to see you share your story, like, I just, you're gorgeous. Like, you,
Oh,
like, seriously, you are. And like, it's just amazing. And I just love it. I love finding people, and it just makes my heart so happy when there's just like so many other amazing people who keep it real with
Mhm.
adoption, but also know that, it's a good thing. It really is a good thing. And so even though it can be hard, like, I love it. I love the positive light that you have and that you're just sharing. And I just love it. And I promise you one day we will meet. And I'm a hugger, so you better watch out,
Oh,
is all
I
I
am
have to
too.
say.
I am
Yay.
completely a hugger, so I'm totally down for that.
Yes, because I'm the same way. So anything else?
I honestly, I can't really think of anything else. I know I know when I originally talked, I was trying to keep it straight. I probably should have written down talking points because I was just ping, ping, ping. But there's nothing else I can think of. The most important thing is just reinforce that it's okay to be overwhelmed and take a step back. It's okay to take your time. It's your journey. No one else can walk your journey but you. And that's really what I reinforce all the time on especially on my TikTok and my Instagram. Just, it's your journey. Like, it's okay. Like, that's it, I guess.
No, I love it. And I will tag you. I am
Okay.
like brand new to TikTok just this year. I always swore I'd never do it. So I'll have to find you on TikTok. But the couple of videos I've seen of her, you guys, just on Instagram, she's adorable. My favorite one is in your big sweater with your dog. I was laughing so hard.
That sweater specifically is for me and her.
I
Like,
love it.
specifically. So
I love it. I love it. So seriously, she's adorable. Go follow her. She's so much fun. Like, I seriously thank you for taking some time out of your night to do this for me and with
absolutely.
me.
Thank you.
I so appreciate it. And seriously, thank you.